Kong. Wow. Yeah, come on over, guys. I love the curiously fragrant harbor that is Hong Kong, and it is terrific to be here. Wow. Hello and welcome to this Phantom Galaxies Early Access AMA Live from the Animoca Brands and Phantom Galaxies booth here at Hong Kong Fintech Week 2023. Come on, give me a little juice. Yeah, my name's Rich Robinson. I'm entrepreneur in residence here at Animoca Brands. And today I am here with Yat Siu and Ben Lee to hype up the amazing AAA game Phantom Galaxies. It's an online multiplayer RPG in the mecha genre, and it's launching soon, a week from Wednesday, November 15th. Big launch, big deal in the Web3 space. It's going to be launching on the Phantom Galaxies website, but also on Steam and the Epic Game Store. I said it's launching on Steam and the Epic Game Store. Give me some juice for that. That's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal. And, you know, this is a first of its kind action game, and it's uniting traditional gamers with Web3 gamers, which is also a first in the AAA genre, and that's kind of kick-ass. So joining me on my left is the project founder and managing director of Bluefish Studios, Ben Lee. Give it up for Ben, everybody. Boom. And he absolutely needs no introduction. He's in his home base of Hong Kong, but I'm going to give it anyway. You know him, you love him. He is the co-founder and executive chairman of Animoca Brands. I call him the Keanu Reeves of Web3. Everybody loves him. The poet, philosopher, Web3 king, Yat Siu, everybody. Come on. Yeah. So, FYI, this AMA with a AAA RPG is starting ASAP. So get your questions ready here and at home. And in the meantime, let's kick it off with Ben. So Ben, 12 years old is Bluefish Studios. You have been covered in scabs and calluses and scar tissue like armor to take you into this Web3 battle. Tell us about why Web3 and what it excites you.
Yeah, I mean, so with Web3, like from traditional gaming, and I think we've seen a massive shift in the way that people and young people and gamers all around love, I guess, their items and digital assets that they're playing with, like, you know, the skins and how the values come in. And so with Web3 and the advent of Web3 and blockchain gaming, it's just become, you know, it's kind of it's clear that that's where the industry will go. Like, players will just want to do that. So for us, when we saw that, it made just great sense for us to bring our traditional gaming development and our experience, and to be, you know, to be world first with Animoca and with Yat, and to bring this to the world. And so, you know, it's been a you know, a good couple of years road to get here. But as people can see here, it's like, yeah, we're ready, and we're really excited to see traditional and Web3 gamers really get into the product.
Fantastic. And so Bluefish Studios is a subsidiary of Animoca. What did you see early on, Yat? How did that come about? And
so, I mean, when we first spoke with Ben at Bluefish, actually he was very early with one of our first blockchain gaming projects. He understood sort of how the token economies would work and was interested in NFTs. And back then, in 2019 and 2020, the whole idea of NFTs and sort of tokenizing a game economy was still very early. And there were very few people who got it. And Ben was one of those who actually understood it. And he got excited by the prospect. And then through a series of discussions and circumstances, you know, there was an opportunity to work together. And we sort of leapt on the chance to bring essentially Bluefish into the Animoca family to basically bring Phantom Galaxies to reality. Because traditionally, Bluefish was also a studio that was focused on third-party work, which, by the way, is what most indie studios have to do. Like, every indie studio has a dream of making their game and a big vision, but it's so hard to actually make money as an indie game studio because it's dependent on the big platforms. And this was an opportunity to actually make something happen that the team was working on, but couldn't dedicate themselves fully on. And so that was one way to do that, was to join Animoca Brands to basically help fulfill that, starting with the Planet sales, and then coming out basically and launching the game which we're really excited about to see in like a week's time.
Yeah, and you're right that a game is the most complex consumer app, and the beautiful part about all of the history that you have, you started so early that nobody is able to launch a AAA game in Web3 because by the time the bull happened, it was already too late to even start a Web3 game that could be finished by now. So you've had that dev hell and live ops and optimization, all of that skills experience network. It's great. Tell us about the Web3 sort of like layer and what you kind of learned along the way and how you're sort of leveraging that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, like Yat was saying, like I became part of it because I've been an active participant in Web3 gaming for since end of 2020. So it's kind of just before it started really taking off, and through that process, we've been able to see what really works and why people love, I guess, Web3 gaming. And so bringing that into Phantom Galaxies with and I guess we get to that part of like what is the early access part of Phantom Galaxies. It's going, it's the full on-chain mechanism when now we just launched the generative minting for our starfighters, which is our mecha, and our avatars this week. And now players can take those and they own those, so it's part of their wallet. But in the game, it's like it's your key representation. And already, we've seen the player base they love it. Like it's like when we say AAA, this is true AAA in that the level, like the quality bar that we have managed to do, obviously with the support of Animoca, is it hasn't been seen yet in the Web3 space. And then with the integration of Astropher, our utility token, Gov's utility token, it's the full Web3 experience and what you would find in any kind of game. So like I said, planets as well. So it's a whole ecosystem, and it's fully embracing what Web3 means from both a governance and community aspect, and then from the digital asset ownership as well.
Yeah, that mecha genre is kick-ass, and the demo that I got in the back there is just mind-blowing. If you're in Hong Kong, come down and check it out. Do we have any questions from the audience? Quick question. Anybody want to jump in right now? Well, while we're waiting maybe for a couple online, so tell me about the early release, the early access, and why that's sort of exciting and making that jump from like beta to early release.
Yeah, so the early access release in 2 weeks is huge for us. We've been building, we've been in open beta for a few months now, which is really building upon making sure our, the players have been playing online. It has been NFT token gated, so our best, our early supporters have been getting in there and playing. And what early access is really the first full on-chain version of the game. So where everything revolves around your NFTs and the Astropher token. And then from there, that's just it forms the start of our early access journey, where then we get to keep building upon everything that we've built up to now, and the NFTs, and also the token and the community around it. So it's massive as well. And like we said, we are launching on both the Epic Game Store and Steam, and that part there is where it's been a goal of Bluefish and Animoca, right, to bring Web3 gaming to the masses. And so to really achieve that, we've built a true AAA game that we're going to have, bring in the traditional gamers and then introduce them to the benefits and try to, and that's the strongest part, right? They're going to enjoy and love the game, love the items and things that they own in the game, and then feel what it means then to transition and own those in a Web3 case.
Over to you, Yat, about AAA gameplay. Tell us out there in the AMA land about why that particularly excites you, and like, what does that mean for Web3 going forward? I think it's really a seminal moment.
One of the reasons why you need a game like Phantom Galaxies to really come out isn't just about the fact that it's a great game, but it's specifically a great Web3 game that has the AAA bar. Because one of the criticisms that people have had when Web3 gaming started to become really popular with Axie Infinity was a lot of people were like, oh, that's a cute game, but that's not my kind of game that I would play. And by the way, we've had those cycles before, right? Like when Angry Birds was really the big mobile game of its day, a lot of the traditional gamers were like, it's cute, but I'm not going to play Angry Birds. That's not my kind of game. And they immediately put all mobile games, sort of bucketed all mobile games into the Angry Birds and eventually Candy Crush category. And now these people are playing Call of Duty on mobile games, and now they're playing all these other mobile games that before they couldn't imagine was possible because they had framed the gaming environment in that set. And the same is true for Web3. People looked at Web3, and some of them were like, well, is it just a financial game? Is it actually really fun? Is it something that I would like to play? And they only really saw what was right before them. They couldn't necessarily visualize what could be possible, even though technologically it was there, because maybe some people don't realize that it takes several years to make a really good game. And the industry was a $0 industry 4 years ago. I mean, the NFT industry broadly, forget even gaming, did not exist. Right? There was nothing. And last year, it was $24 billion, which, by the way, is about 15% of the global games industry right now, in a very short period of time.
So I just want to repeat that. So the global game industry for, this specific, 50 billion is, in terms of like in-app purchases? Or?
In-app purchases, basically virtual items is $100 billion, right? And the entire gaming industry, which includes hardware and so on, is about $200 billion,
200 billion, yeah.
right? And outside of that is NFT sales, and last year that was $24 billion. So it just kind of gives you an idea how quickly that industry has grown from basically zero to where it is right now. And I think that's the part that if you're not in the industry, you also couldn't see. And we had the same experience when we went from mobile. Mobile gaming was the same, where many people who played console and PC games would never touch mobile games. And they would just say, this is not the kind of game I play for the first 2 or 3 years. And they would just simply dismiss it because there was nothing that would attract them to play that. And so again, Phantom Galaxies is a kind of game where maybe space mecha games isn't for them, but the visual quality and what you can do with it is like, wait, you could do that? Also, it opens up the imagination for other developers in the space who are like, wait, if you can make a game like this, then maybe I could do a game like that. Maybe I could do, and there's many categories in Web3 gaming that I think would compete and in many ways outperform eventually the traditional games. One example of that is when you think about things like CSGO, right? What actually keeps the CSGO economy alive after so many years is not the gameplay itself. I mean, there's many arguably better first-person shooters out there. It's skins. It's ownership of skins and the ability to trade them and have as a representation of them. And while that's highly controlled, that's actually what gives it longer life. And I think the same is now what they don't realize is that actually they don't have freedom over these assets. And eventually, games that have true digital ownership, like Phantom Galaxies, are going to be the ones that win because you can actually have open composability. You can have the ability to not just trade them, but just share them with others and use them in other games and whatever it is. And you have true freedom and ownership over them. And I think eventually every gamer is going to want that over the other alternative, which is they own nothing, which of course, who wants that?
Certainly, well said. So let's talk about that transition of the traditional gamer into this Web3 space and how you've set that up and enabled that.
Yeah, so I mean, what we've done is we, over the last couple of years, we've built like this the back-end system where essentially the players, they're coming in the Web2 space and they get attached to their items and things that they're earning in the game, and then they're finding those. And then there's a system whereby they have their account and like they can then attach a wallet, or they'll see other players in the game. So with this, we have a full crossplay where Web 2 and Web 3 players are all playing in the same space. And so they'll be able to see each other, interact with each other. And by doing that, we have like unique custom like tracks in the game, which is content and gear that you can get for each individual different party, or a group together. And so then by doing that, it encourages, you're always going to be online. And so that's kind of the great equalizer. So if I'm loving Phantom Galaxies as a traditional gamer, I'm doing research. You always do research, right? You look it up on the web. And by that, you'll see the elements that the Web3 gamers are kind of, you'll see, there's like, there's news around, I've sold, this kind of item or this, top end tier gear. And you'll have people doing, influencers doing that on like social and video. So then there'll just be a lot of content that people will be able to see, and then that will pique their interest in like, all right, I've heard about this, I'm actually actively already playing. So it's not about trying to convince someone to come in and play a game that is a Web3 game. It's like, no, this is a game that I'm already playing, I'm really already enjoying and loving, and now this element is here. It's like, okay, I've played the game, I've invested so many hours. I've got this really cool weapon that it has real value if I go and then convert that and mint it out to an NFT. And so, I think. And the reason why also I think it's inevitable and where we're heading this way is because right now in traditional games you can already see that through skins, like through Fortnite or CS:GO, like there is a value already, and people already sell things on their own kind of like grey market. And we obviously what Web3 and blockchain does is it just brings it legitimizes. It's like it kind of just makes that whole system work. And so again, as we know, there's a bit of a bump that we have to get the people over. But this is a long journey. We have this, and I think, especially with the changing environment, where things are getting more accepted, it's the right time. Like now is the right time to really push game players into this space.
Any questions from here? Yes, sir. Please, David Wong. Let me give you a mic.
Does Animoca Brands look to build its own game store like Steam, Epic, Gamefront, where you can also introduce other third-party game titles to the platform, and then Animoca as the big umbrella for Web3 gaming?
So the general way that we think about game distribution is not so much to think that we're building our own Steam in the traditional sense, but actually through what we call basically through the Mochaverse, which is basically an NFT collection. We're actually creating our community around that. So it's a membership, and ultimately it is launching its digital identity layer, decentralized digital identity layer. We think that's how game distribution or any kind of distribution will take place ultimately. But what's the difference? Well, in Steam or the App Store, you need to have an account on Steam, you need an account on the App Store, and you have to go there, and they know stuff about you, and they curate the content for you because it's under their rules and their terms of service, so to speak. That account that you set up, that identity that you have on Steam, it may appear to be your identity, but it's not actually your identity. You're lending them your identity, but they're the ones actually who are getting value from that. But in a decentralized identity, what happens is that, let's say like through a soul-bound token, that identity is in your wallet, but the wallet is yours. The wallet is your sovereign asset. Everything inside it is yours. And what happens then when you have an ID that is verified, people can then come to you and say, oh, I have a product for you. And so what we'll see in the future is that there's not going to be, or we think we see in the future, it's not going to be one Steam store that's going to aggregate everything. It's going to be multiple type of experiences that will be built on top of this identity layer. So today we see this in the form of NFTs. So if you have a Bored Ape, for instance, there's a community built around every person who has a Bored Ape. And I know it's a real member because it has a real Bored Ape, because through blockchain I can verify that. But why would that be interesting? Well, that's because the value of a Bored Ape is a certain amount, tens of thousands, or actually over $50,000, $60,000, for instance. That means it's a kind of category of customers you might want to address. If you're a marketing company and if you were able to publicly access any person who bought real estate at mid-levels, or any person who has bought a Rolex watch, for instance, that's valuable for you. That information is not currently publicly available, but on blockchain it could be. So that's kind of how we see the vision in terms of sort of how there's content discovery. That means every individual becomes their own platform. So, for instance, if you have assets from Phantom Galaxies, and you have assets from maybe a future Star Wars game, and I can see it in your wallet, I can actually now target you. I can say, wait, you're the kind of guy who likes space games. So let me just give you another space game that you really, really like. And if you come to my game, I'll give you 20% off, or I'll give you a free Starfighter, or I'll do whatever. That's actually marketing. There's a cost. But now you're paying the cost to a fan who has a higher chance of converting to a player. Today, how do we get a customer? We pay lots of money to Facebook, we pay lots of money to Google, and then how much of the money that we pay Google and Facebook goes back into the game? The answer is zero, right? So there's a lot of value extraction. And so what Web3 does is it aligns the incentives between the players, the creators, and of course the platforms. And so that's how we see it. So it's a long-winded answer to say we're supportive of the growth of the ecosystem through Mochaverse, but we don't plan to be our own central platform. That would be against our ethos.
Fantastic. I always love looking through Yat's eyes into the future. And so we have a question here from YouTube asking about early access compared to the beta cohort 4 version? Are there going to be planets and starfighters and pilot NFTs? What are we going to see?
Yeah, so again, the big change from beta into early access is that it's fully on chain now. So we run on Polygon Matic blockchain, and so all the assets that people have been minting and holding in their wallets are now integrated into the game, including Astra as well for the token. So that is the biggest change, is that now we are, as we build, everything is going to be reliant on Web3 and NFTs and the ERC20 as well. So people in the beta now, it's multiplayer, it's co-op, it's PvP. We will keep building out the features and functionality around the game that we have we've said that's on our roadmap, and that really then will just again increase I guess the content and the broad kind of player base that we can bring in. But that's so it really is the Web3 element is fully now integrated into the game.
What are you guys thinking about with AI generated, before they were talking about NPCs to helping with the storylines and things like that? Do you have anything like that on your roadmap? Or, I know it's fairly new, but I'm just curious what you guys, think about it, or what ideas you have towards that.
Yeah, no. As a studio, we've been doing R&D into the generative, like I said, more about the dialogue and the narrative. So we're definitely we're doing that. We use parts of I guess AI, it's part of the process where it helps the creative process, but for us it doesn't ever create the final experience, because to build something of this quality and what our vision is, it still needs that that kind of final touch. But like you said, where it really does come in and help is doing expendable content, bringing in that kind of the unknown element to the interaction with an NPC. So so we've actually we started looking into that.
I think one of the really cool things that you can now do with AI is, and again, everyone's experimenting, and so that's, while it's not happening right away, NPC, if you think about it, is probably the one interaction that most people in the world have with a dumb AI of some form, regardless of what it is, right? It could be as simple as, where do I go, left or right? That's the AI, it's really dumb, but that's actually what billions of gamers do every single day, right at this moment in time, asking some dumb AI in a game what to do, or what to buy, or what to purchase. Infuse that with LLMs and the intelligence that's built over time, people are not only going to just have richer conversations, they're going to have relationships that are going to be different between these AIs. And I think the one thing that we expect to happen in the future is that these AIs are going to be autonomous themselves, right? And as an NFT. That means that right now, this NPC might exist only in Phantom Galaxies today, but eventually, this NPC could be in another game that could be imported, because it's an NFT. It is its own sovereign identity of form. Right. Well, it can just keep, kind of like Blue Guy. It can go from place to place. But also, because they are autonomous, they're going to start doing transactions and interactions, and they're going to trade, and they're going to trade in another AI. And by the way, that's already happening in the finance world. When you're thinking about people trading in exchanges, it's all essentially bots. What is a bot? It's a form of an AI. And it's not actually a bot trading with a human. It's a bot trading with a bot. That's already actually happening right now. Maybe the other side doesn't know it's a bot, but effectively that's what they're doing, in the industry. And that's, by the way, not specifically in crypto. It's in financial services and all and so forth, the stock market and whatever. So you can see how that could transition into essentially game characters and NPCs. And so imagine a future where these millions, actually billions of NPC characters have AI characters, have start interacting and trading and transacting with other AIs. To us, actually, that's going to be a big driver for volume and transactions and generate the growth of the Web3 space. So we think Web3 and AI is completely intertwined.
Well, I have personal experience in that. I feel like I go shopping with my wife. Honey, do I like this? Do I wear this? I don't know. And she directs me. But okay, we have another question online. Does Phantom Galaxy have plans to introduce a local marketplace on your website?
So when we say local, no. So the Steam, like the Web 2 version, doesn't have any local marketplace. There's no trading for traditional gamers, and that's one of the it's one of the things that we believe strongly in digital asset ownership. And so because of that, the only way you will be able to trade is through the Web3 version. But we embrace, like Animoca is, like it's an ecosystem. And so we support, any kind of open marketplace out there that is going to be for that. We have released a dashboard on our website, which essentially gives you all the extra information about your NFTs and kind of, we'll explain more about the story. Those kind of things you can't get through like an open marketplace that's like a standard. So yeah, so we'll provide all that information, different features and different kind of like ways to play around with your NFTs as well through our website. But the actual trading will be kept to an open format.
Any other questions from? Do you have a question? Here we go.
Hi everyone, I have a question from the Phantom Galaxies Discord. I've been asking for Cookie, and they ask if there are any plans for the team to increase the player base of the game and maintain that all throughout the early access launch. Is that something you can talk to?
Yeah, I mean, like I think, this is a perfect example here, right? Like, so, I mean, one of the big things for us, obviously, has been getting ready for the early access launch because, we've gone to, it's a free-to-play launch, so now there is no barrier to entry in the game. And that's an important part because, as you know, with marketing, right, you don't want to like build up and just build something up where the people can't actually get in, or there's kind of a blockage to that. So through this now, it's really kind of opened the floodgates to us being able to really reach out and bring in all different partnerships, both from a traditional, but also the main thing is the Web3 space. And again, our marketing team has been doing a great job traveling around the world and doing all these like trade shows and so yes, we definitely have a lot in plan for really increasing the authentic player base, and that's something that we want to keep true as well. Though we want people there that are interested both from the Web3 aspect, when it's from NFTs and tokens and Astrofa. And the communities, we've been doing voting, based on holding the token as well. So it really is important that people are there for us, for the game, for Phantom Galaxies.
That's great. Shout out to the Phantom Galaxies Discord. You guys have done that particularly well. The way you guys dropped NFTs, I think, is a model for the future. So, final question. So, please explain the concept of traversing across planets in more detail. Open world experiences, vehicle NFTs on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, this is really blue sky stuff. I mean, like, when we pitched the original Phantom Galaxies to Nanmoka, one of the examples I brought up was like Star Citizen, which actually spoke about previously, and there's bad positives and negatives to that title, but that's where we are. Like we're building something. So our roadmap is a lot more specific and related to the the engagement and the moment-to-moment gameplay that we have now. But we have planet holders, and so we've released already our first kind of planet experience with a series quadrant, and we kind of learned again over the last 2 years about accessibility to players. So our next phase of planet exploration is actually it's a HTML experience which is playable on your phone or like anywhere, to any web browser. It's a lot more detailed. Like, we are a AAA game studio, so we're just making sure it's a casual game, but it still shows the quality that we're kind of committed to when it comes to Web3 gaming. And also one of those aspects is, you've got a rover and you're kind of like exploring the planet, you're unlocking different tiles. And we've mentioned, planets are kind of like that land system in the game, and so people can start, finding, kind of colonizing their own planet, and then that kind of builds.
Maybe you can rent the vehicles in the future, and if so, do you have to fill them up with gas at the end?
I mean,
is that?
Yeah, I mean, we should bring you on as a game designer here, Rich. But no, great ideas. Give us a few years to get to that point, I think.
That's great. Excellent. And final words from Yat and Ben just about this seminal moment in Web3 AAA gaming.
Well, I mean, it's super exciting. I think we've been waiting for this moment. As I've said, it takes several years to make a really good game. And it's also a point to prove that Web3 games are not in any way inferior to Web2 game, which it never really was when you think about the time it takes to make a game. But it actually has a really powerful meta layer. And that meta layer comes with ownership. Even when you talk about sort of planet composability and moving from world to world. Here's what's amazing about a Web3 game like Phantom Galaxies. even if Bluefish doesn't end up building this capability, someone else can. You can simply just say, hey, I love this game. I'm going to build a separate world that plugs into Phantom Galaxies. I'm going to create a experience that, you know, I can go from one planet, and inside that planet I can do something through ownership of that. I can create a new experience. I can create a DeFi layer, whatever it is that you want to do. And that's free for anyone to do because it's on-chain, because the assets are on-chain. You don't need to seek permission to do so. You can't do this in any Web2 game. I can't use skins in Fortnite. I can't use starships in the Star Wars game. I can't use skins in Apex or the guns in Apex. I can't do anything with it. I can only play it in that one game, which is what they want. But here you have true freedom. That's actually what I think is super exciting. So it's the beginning of something much greater.
Yeah, so that's very true actually. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, look, if other partners or communities will take up the mantle there. I mean, personally for us, you know, right, it's been a long journey here. We are really excited to really be the pioneers in this space with real, true AAA Web3 gaming. You know, 2 weeks time, November 15th, the early access launch on Steam and Epic Game Store. We're also going to be on Ultra.io, Hyperplay, on our own website as well. But we really want people to go out there, wishlist the game now, help us get the word out. Come in, it's free to play. Just come in, download on the day. And yeah, play it and give it a chance, and you'll see the start of this amazing journey.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, founder of Phantom Galaxies, Bluefish Studios, Ben Lee, and Yat Siu from Animoca Brands. Everybody, come on, give us a little energy. Thank you very much, and thank you at home, office, car, bathroom, wherever you are. Thank you.